Welcome to the Bookworm Duo, where we explore a variety of books.
Yeah.
Let's get started with today's deep dive.
Sounds good.
So today
Yeah.
we're going to be taking a deep dive into Octavia Butler's Parable of the Sower.
It's a great book.
Yes, it is, and it's a really intense story that throws us right into this dystopian future.
Yeah, 2024 to be
It's
exact.
2024, so not too far off from when she wrote it.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of people think she was, kind of predicting the future with this book.
Yeah, I can see why.
It's pretty eerie how some of the things she describes are kind of coming true.
Yeah, it is, and we experience this whole world through the eyes of Lauren Olamina,
Yeah,
who lives with
she's our protagonist.
hyper-empathy, right?
Yes, exactly.
She feels the pain of others as if it were her own.
Imagine that for a second. To feel every injury, every heartache just as intensely as the person experiencing it.
That would be overwhelming.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that Butler does so well in this book
What's that?
is she really makes you feel the weight of that ability.
Right.
Especially in a world that's full of violence and suffering.
So it's not just like a cool superpower.
Right. It's a burden.
It's a burden.
It's a
Yeah.
very real thing for Lauren. And I think that's what makes her such a compelling character.
She's so complex.
Yes, absolutely.
Right from the start, you see how it shapes her whole worldview.
Well, think about that scene with her brother, Keith.
Oh, yeah, the red ink.
Yeah, where he tricks her, pretending to be hurt, and she just reacts so intensely.
And she beats him up pretty bad.
And it's not because she's, a violent person.
Well,
It's because she's genuinely feeling that pain that he's pretending to experience.
Oh, wow.
So it's a really stark introduction to how intense her empathy is.
And how it makes her kind of react to the world.
Yeah, it's almost like a defense mechanism in a way.
Yeah, like a heightened sense of, I don't know,
Yeah, a heightened sense of everything.
protection.
Yeah, protection.
So we've got this young woman burdened with hyper-empathy, living in a walled community called Robledo.
Which is kind of falling apart at the seams, right?
Yeah, it's struggling amidst this societal collapse.
And it's not just Robledo, it's the whole world.
A whole world. Yeah.
There's poverty, violence, the effects of climate change, all amplified in this dystopian future.
It feels very real.
It does, doesn't it? Like we're kind of on that path ourselves.
Yeah, it makes you think about how fragile our systems really are.
Exactly. And that's one of the things I think Butler is trying to do with this book,
What do you mean?
is to make us think about these issues, to make us confront the possibility of a future like this.
So it's not just an escape, it's like a warning.
It's both.
Yeah.
It's an escape into this fascinating world, but it's also a warning about what could happen if we're not careful.
And within this community, within Robledo,
Mm.
Lauren is grappling with more than just her hyper-empathy.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, she's also dealing with her father's, very traditional Baptist faith, which is very strict, very rigid.
Right. And she's developing her own kind of belief system called Earthseed.
Yeah, that's such a fascinating element of the book.
It is.
This idea that God has changed.
God is chained.
Imagine trying to convince people of that,
Especially in a community that's clinging to tradition, right?
especially in a community that's just trying to hold on to what they have left.
Yeah.
But Lauren sees the world differently.
She does. And the world outside Robledo isn't exactly waiting for these debates, these philosophical debates.
No, things are getting worse.
Things are getting worse. The threat outside the walls is growing.
Robberies are becoming more frequent. Violence is escalating.
You just get this constant sense of tension, like something's going to break.
And it does, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it starts with Lauren's brother, Keith.
Yeah, he's killed outside the walls.
And it's just devastating for her and her family.
It really pushes her towards this conviction that Robledo is no longer safe. She's seeing the world through this lens that most people don't have.
She's feeling the echoes of every tragedy, every loss, in a way that we can't even imagine.
It's like she's carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders.
And it's only going to get heavier.
So she's dealing with grief and a growing sense of urgency.
Yeah, and she's surrounded by people who don't seem to grasp the severity of their situation.
It's like a ticking time bomb.
And then the bomb explodes.
Fire.
Yeah, the fire that rips through Robledo.
It destroys everything.
It's brutal, chaotic, and it takes the lives of most of her family and neighbors.
I can't even imagine witnessing that, let alone experiencing it with her hyper-empathy.
It's a turning point in the story, for sure.
She loses everything, her home, her family, her sense of community.
It's a complete reset, a forced confrontation with a future that she wasn't fully prepared for.
But she's resilient.
She is. She clings to the fragments of Earth's seed, to her beliefs, and she gathers what few possessions she can salvage.
And she starts her journey north.
Yeah, determined to create something new, something better, in a world that seems determined to destroy everything.
And she's not entirely alone, right?
Right. Harry and Zara, they join her.
So this small group, armed with their wits and a few supplies,
They're setting out into a world gone mad.
what kind of challenges do they face on this journey north?
Well, it's a brutal test of endurance.
They're scavenging for food and water, right?
Right. They're navigating highways that are teeming with danger.
Constantly on guard.
Always looking over their shoulder, never knowing who to trust.
Sounds exhausting.
It is, but it's also exhilarating in a way.
How
It's like they're on the edge of a knife, constantly pushing their limits.
And how does Lauren's Earthseed philosophy, how does that help her navigate this world?
It becomes her survival guide.
Really?
Yeah, the idea of embracing change, of adapting to the constant flux of the world, it gives her strength.
So it's not just about physical survival, it's about mental and spiritual survival too.
Exactly. It's about finding meaning and purpose in a world that seems determined to strip those things away.
As they journey north, their small group expands, right?
Yeah, they meet other survivors along the way.
Like Travis and Natividad.
Yeah, and their baby, Dominic.
It's interesting how they form this kind of makeshift family.
It's like they're drawn to each other, bound by circumstance, and this shared goal of survival.
And they also meet the Gilchrist sisters.
Allie and Jill, and their nephew, Justin.
They all bring new challenges, new perspectives to the group.
Absolutely. And they also bring new strengths.
So it's like they're building the foundation for this community that Lauren envisions for the future.
One that's built on adaptability and cooperation.
But their journey isn't over yet, right?
Not even close.
Tell me about their meeting with Bankhole.
Ah, Bankhole.
He seems like a pivotal figure in their story.
He is. He's an older doctor, traveling alone.
And he's initially very skeptical of Lauren and her Earthseed philosophy.
Yeah, he's seen a lot. He's experienced a lot of hardship.
He's very pragmatic.
He is, but he's also kind.
And he offers something crucial to the group.
Hope.
Hope. In a world as bleak as the one they're navigating, that sounds almost like a luxury.
It is, but it's also essential.
And what does this hope look like?
Bankhole has land in Northern California. Potential safe haven.
So a place where they can actually stop running.
Yeah, a place where they can attempt to build a new life.
It sounds like a dream.
It does, but we know this is Octavia Butler, so it's not going to be easy.
Right, there are going to be complications.
Oh, absolutely.
So the journey to Bankhole's land and the attempt to create this new community, which they name Acorn.
Yeah, Acorn, the seed of something new.
It sounds like just the beginning of another chapter.
It is a chapter filled with new challenges and new triumphs.
Oh, I can't wait to delve deeper into this.
Me neither.
Let's take a break and come back to explore what happens at Acorn.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, so we left off with Lauren and the group arriving at Bankhole's land.
Yeah.
This potential sanctuary they're calling Acorn.
Right.
What's it like for them to finally, after this crazy journey north, to finally have a place to stop running, to try and rebuild?
I think there's a sense of relief.
Oh, yeah.
You know, finally being able to breathe again, to kind of regroup.
To catch your breath.
Exactly.
But also, it's a whole set of challenges now, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're basically starting from scratch.
It's like being a pioneer.
Yeah.
You know, forging a new life in this wilderness.
And they have to, they're dealing with practical matters.
Right.
Like food, shelter, security.
Absolutely. And figuring out how to live and work together.
Because it's a community.
Right. It is.
It's not just about individual survival anymore.
Right. They have to establish rules, create a shared sense of purpose.
And then they have Emery and Tori arriving.
2 escaped slaves.
That adds a whole other layer of complexity to this community.
It does. It's a stark reminder that even in this dystopian future, exploitation and cruelty persist. Yeah. It's a sobering thought, isn't it? That societal collapse doesn't erase our capacity for inhumanity.
So how does Acorn, this community that's striving for something better,
Yeah.
how do they grapple with this reality of slavery?
It challenges their values.
Right.
Their vision for a just and equitable society.
It's like a test.
It is a test of their principles.
Do they turn a blind eye to the suffering of others?
Or do they take a stand?
Even if it puts them at risk.
It's a pivotal moment for Acorn.
They have to define their boundaries.
They have to decide what they stand for.
And all this is happening while there's this growing external threat.
President Jarrett?
Yeah, this guy, he represents,
He's like the embodiment of authoritarianism.
yeah, that allure of order and security in a world that's just chaotic.
Right, he preys on people's anxieties, their fear.
And his followers, they're dangerous.
They are. They become enforcers of his narrow worldview.
We see that with the attack on Dovetree.
Yeah, that was a chilling example of the violence that Jarrett's ideology breeds.
A wake-up call for Acorn.
Absolutely. It shows them that they're not immune to the darkness that's spreading.
So they have to make choices
Difficult choices.
about how to protect themselves.
In their way of life.
And then there's Grayson Mora,
Grayson.
the skilled survivalist who joins the community.
Yeah, he's an intriguing character.
He is.
Capable, resourceful.
But there's this guardedness about him,
Right, like he's holding back.
almost like he's hiding something.
Maybe he is.
So he brings his skills, his knowledge,
Which they need.
but they're wary of him.
Trust is hard to come by in this world.
It is.
Especially when danger lurks around every corner.
So they're dealing with internal tensions,
External threats.
the constant pressure of just staying alive.
Right, and they make a decision.
What do?
They decide to leave Acorn
Right.
to seek a new haven.
But why? I mean, they've put so much work into building this community.
It's a calculated risk,
It is. Oh,
driven by necessity and hope.
in what way?
They need a place where Bangkol can practice medicine, a place where they can access more resources.
Makes sense.
And they're also driven by this belief that Earthseed is not about staying in one place.
It's about adapting.
Exactly.
So they're seeking stability through movement.
Finding strength in embracing change.
That's powerful.
It is, isn't it?
So what's the journey to the coast like? Is it as bad as the journey north?
It's just as perilous.
Really?
Storms, fires, the constant threat of violence.
It never ends, does it?
It seems like it doesn't.
But they make it. They reach the coast.
They do, eventually.
It must be such a relief
But also apprehension.
because it's the unknown.
Right. A new landscape with new challenges.
New dangers.
Condemn it
So
to
they
the
find
app.
moments of beauty,
They do.
moments of connection,
Reminders of the humanity they're fighting to preserve.
but they can't escape Jarrett's influence.
It's spread like a virus.
It's everywhere.
His message of fear and division, it resonates with people who are desperate
Desperate for answers.
for someone to blame.
So even in this new location,
The fight continues.
and then tragedy strikes.
Krista Neuer.
Yeah, she's attacked.
Brutally.
It's a reminder that violence can erupt anywhere,
At any time.
shattering that fragile sense of security.
It's a devastating loss for the community.
How do they cope with this
They have to confront the limits of their compassion
and decide how to respond?
to this act of violence.
It's a turning point.
It is. It forces them to grapple with the complexities of justice and vengeance.
Where does this leave Lauren?
Her faith in Earthseed has only grown stronger.
Really, after everything she's been through?
It's become more than just a set of beliefs.
A way of life.
A framework for navigating a world in constant flux.
So as we head into the final part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
what are we going to explore?
We'll delve into the final challenges Lauren and her community face as they try to build a new life on the coast.
Okay, sounds good. So it's incredible how even after all the hardship and the violence that Lauren has faced, she still holds on to this vision of a better future, right?
Yeah, it's really inspiring, isn't it?
It is. And you know, she's guided by these principles of Earthseed.
Right, embracing change, adapting to the world as it is.
And it's not just about surviving.
No,
It's about thriving, right?
exactly. It's about creating something new, something better out of the ashes of the old.
So how does she do that? I mean, how does she actually put these principles into practice?
Well, I think it starts with her willingness to let go of the past,
Yeah.
To not dwell on what's been lost, but to focus on what can be built.
So it's about looking forward.
Yeah, and about being open to new possibilities.
That's not always easy, especially when you've experienced so much trauma.
No, it's not, but it's essential.
And Earthseed also emphasizes the importance of community.
Absolutely, you can't do it alone.
Right, you need that support system, that network of people who share your values, your vision.
People who will challenge you, but also support you.
So it's not just about finding like-minded people.
No, it's about building relationships.
Trust.
Yeah, and a shared sense of purpose.
Because when you have that strong foundation,
You can weather any storm,
yeah, and you can achieve great things.
even in a world that seems determined to break you.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Parable of the Sower, what are the key takeaways?
What are the lessons that Butler is trying to teach us?
Yeah, what do we walk away with after reading this book?
Well, I think the first lesson is the importance of adaptability.
Yeah.
You know, the world is changing. It always has been. It always will be.
Right.
And those who can adapt, those who can embrace new ways of thinking and doing things, they're the ones who will survive and thrive.
So it's not about being rigid,
No, it's about being flexible.
being open to change.
Exactly.
And the second lesson, I think, is the power of community.
Right. We need each other.
We do,
Yeah.
especially during times of crisis.
Yeah. We can't face the challenges of the world alone.
We need that support,
That sense of belonging.
that shared purpose.
Yeah. And the third lesson, I think the most important one, is the enduring power of hope.
Hope, even in a world that's falling apart.
Even in the darkest of times,
Yeah,
there's still a flicker of hope
that belief that things can get better.
that we have the power to create a more just and sustainable future.
It's a choice, isn't it?
It is. It's a conscious decision to choose hope over despair.
To choose action over apathy.
Exactly.
So Parable of the Sower, it's a challenging book.
It is.
It's a thought-provoking book.
But it's also a hopeful book.
It is. It's a reminder that even in the face of adversity,
We have the power to make a difference.
to create a better world.
For ourselves and for future generations.
And it all starts with
A seed.
a seed of hope.
A seed of change.
And that seed is planted within each and every one of us.
We just have to choose to nurture it
Let it grow.
and watch it blossom.
Well, this has been an incredible journey exploring Parable of the Sower with you.
It really has. It's a book that stays with you,
It does. It makes you think.
that makes you feel.
It makes you want to act.
And that's the power of great literature, isn't it?
It is. It challenges us, it inspires us, and it leaves us with a renewed sense of purpose.
I think that's a perfect note to end on.
Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us. Subscribe for more bookish adventures and hit that like button if you enjoyed the ride. Don't forget to share the knowledge. Spread the word.